This is a dream that I had almost a year ago. This is one of my more profound ones, and I honestly thought that I already made a video about this, but I looked at my video sequence and I have not. So I broke my dream. I broke it. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. I'm in that godforsaken house on Idlewood, and if you look at my recent videos, it's a house from my childhood, and I am in that house constantly whenever I lucid dream. That it's just very annoying. And so every time I realize that I'm in a dream and I'm in this house, I get really angry because it's just like Groundhog's Day, like, oh, here I am in this house again and again and again. I have not lived in this house for about 6 years. And anywho, I'm in the house on Idlewood, and I was very frustrated that this was a dream. And I was also frustrated that I'm in that house on Idlewood again. So I get this funny idea to pick up the furniture. The front door was open, and I just picked up the furniture that was in the living room, and I started to throw the furniture into the street at a very fast speed. I was just picking up everything. I was going ballistic. I was angry. I was so frustrated that I'm in this house again. I don't like being in this house. I'm in the house so much whenever I lucid dream that it actually really creeps me out. And so I'm angry, and I'm throwing all this furniture in the street. And then all of a sudden, instead of the furniture going into the street, it knocks off of the air and bounces back at me. And a corner of the couch caught the air and ripped it, as if the area, the foyer that I was, I guess that's foyer, in the front of the house became like a two-dimensional sheet of paper, kind of like the fake scenes that you stand in front of when you're taking your school pictures. So it wasn't as if I could walk out the front door anymore, because it was now just a picture of the area where the front door is, and it's ripped. And inside of the rip is this white. It had black grain in it, but it wasn't like the black grain on when TV goes bad and there's not like cable going into it. It's not the static. The light, the majority of it was white inside. It only had a little bit of light coming out of the hole. I could see into the hole. It was just like infinite white and had small black particles in it. The particles, I would say, were like half an inch big, and they were just like little balls of dirt, like floating around in this white. And I had never seen anything like this before, and all I knew is that scared me. That scared me a lot. I did not know what the hell that was, and I just walked in the house. Like, I acknowledged the house as a house and not as this fake thing, because it scared me so much. And I started to, because usually I just don't even bother pretending that the walls are walls, and I'll just walk through the walls and just go, because I just hate this house so much and I just always want to get out. I treated the house like a house and walked through the hallway to get away from it. And I was under like sheer terror, like, what is going on with that section of the house? It's like it's broken or something. All of a sudden there was a very quick scene change, and I was in this park. And usually when they try to change the scene up on me, it's to make me forget that I was in a dream, but it didn't work this time. There was this blonde woman in the park, and a funny thing that I've learned is, whenever I have more control over myself, don't go up to your characters and let them know that you're in a dream. go up to them and ask them, hey, what are you doing? Or go up to them and listen to what they're talking about and pretend like you're just this extra that's there. And just go up to them and don't even act like you're acknowledging them. Just see what they are talking about or what they're doing or, hey, what's going on? And see what they say back. And so there was this woman, and I went up to her and I asked her, hey, what were you doing here before I came? Just to see what this world was like before I appeared in it. And she said that she was running away, and there was a person with a gun that was chasing her. And we walked into an elevator, and this little girl came with us. And this little girl pulled out a gun, and I grabbed the gun, and I killed the little girl. And then the blonde woman started crying. She was taller than me. She had very thick, sort of wavy hair. And then I just left the elevator and started floating. I floated very high up through the clouds and saw buildings in the clouds. As I floated up, I checked their perspective to see if they were correct. You know, I'm an art graduate of, I paint and I draw. And so it was interesting to me to check out their perspective. Does this match reality? When I get closer to the buildings, do they get bigger? Whenever I float above the buildings, do they look smaller? And so I floated above them, and they would get smaller the higher that I would float up. They would get larger whenever I would float down. Some were lit up. I went over and grabbed a building, and it was like a Lego. I pushed it. I landed on a cloud, and it was not solid. I started to sink into it. I was back in the elevator again, and there was a mirror. I looked at myself in it. I did, in fact, look like myself. I started talking, and my mouth did not do a very good job with matching my words. So there have been instances where I've looked in things that were reflective while I'm lucid dreaming, and surprisingly, I do look like myself. Sometimes I'll look like myself with longer hair from like a past haircut, but I do look like myself. And I wouldn't have noticed anything strange except whenever I started to speak in the dream, I could hear myself talk, but my mouth was not matching the words, and so that scared me. I walked outside and was outside the house on Idlewood. Made me mad again. I started throwing things again to see if I could tear like the second dimension. A police officer or cop was trying to get me to stop, and all sorts of people were trying to get me to stop too. I was quickly throwing things at them to keep them from stopping me. The people in the dream were very frightened that I was going crazy and throwing all of these things. And in this dream, I felt bad for them. And so I wanted to still prove to them that they were in control, because I felt like they were scared because I was in control and that I kind of was out of control. And so I did something to prove that I'm still a monkey human, to make them calm down and to convince them that I wasn't going to hurt them anymore, and that I didn't want to die, and that I wasn't interested anymore in breaking the second dimension. I randomly attempted to have sex with one of the dream people, and there was like a sigh of relief when I tried to do this. Sex is a very primitive thing. Primates probably don't wake up in their own dreams. We are very evolved primates, and the dream people don't really know how to deal with us sometimes. So it made them feel better to know of like this primitive choice that I made in the dream. It showed like a regression. In several dreams I ask, you know that I know this is a dream. Is this supposed to happen? They respond with kind of a tense laugh. No, not many people wake up in their dreams like you. And no, you're not supposed to know how to do this. The reason why I guess I don't show my face in this channel is because I do in the lucid dreams talk about, I guess, sexual things, and I don't want family members and people to know. But I do have a tendency, a lot of times when I become lucid, it's like I'm lucid, and then there's like this strange primitive urge to randomly look at the nearest like lucid dream character to me and like force them to just have sex with me, basically. I end up doing that so often that I knew it was the go-to thing to do when I started to get out of control, to like prove to the characters I'm not going to be out of control anymore. I faked them out. Like, they fake me out and randomly stick me in a new scene, and it tricks me into thinking that I'm in a dream again, and me pretending like I wanted to have sex with the nearest person was me tricking them into thinking that I forgot that I was in a dream. And it ended up working. They all were like, oh, thank God she stopped, and she's going to do her stupid primitive thing where she randomly tries to have sex with one of the dream characters. There was a very long period of time after this where my lucid dreams were very boring. I would become lucid and no one would be around. I would be in a city with no one there. I would float around house to house, over the houses, looking for other people or dream characters, and it would just be like a completely deserted city. No one would be around. And then I would float into space, which I hate kind of floating into space because it scares me, because there's like a feeling that I've never felt before of like sheer terror of being in space. But for a while, I just didn't see any characters. It was just deserted, boring dreams of empty cities.